It's very fascinating because if you look at the history of retail over the last really 30 years, a very specific thing has happened, and that is they've been putting down a ton of stores to grow top line growth. And if you look at the US as an example, we have 46 square feet of retail space for every man, woman, and child. That's like my first apartment in New York. And the next closest, I think, is the UK with only 9. And so what's fascinating is in this, what I would call a post-Amazon era of retail, you can't just compete on proximity, selection, and price anymore. You've got to, as a retailer, compete on experience. So I think the challenge for retailers is going to be, what experience is that makes sense for their brand? How do they invest in it in a meaningful way? And how do they bridge that divide between their digital brand and their physical brand? Because there's a convergence happening. I mean, you can feel it at conferences like this, where everyone's trying to figure out, how do you create the future of retail that speaks to customers? And you look at any single channel commerce brand, they're dying. You look at like One Kings Lane or Fab. You look at the Radio Shacks or the Sears. You look at the middle. If you're a really good digital native brand like Warby Parker or Bonobos, how do you know when you really made it? You open up physical stores. And if you're a really good physical store brand that started there, how do you know when you really made it? Well, you have incredible online experiences. So bridging that divide is going to be incredibly challenging, but also the lifeblood of the future of retail. I think the greatest opportunities for growth are a little bit brand dependent. It kind of depends on who you are and what you've been doing. If you're one of that small category of brands that doesn't have a really good mobile presence, you should probably think about it. Mobile is insane right now. I don't know if you guys knew this, but in America, 22 million people are, the only way they access the internet is on their smartphones. They're completely smartphone dependent. And in the world, if you're under 35, the chance you access the internet for the first time is on your smartphone. It's incredible. So you have to realize that it's 30% of commerce now and it's growing very quickly, and Generation Z, or Generation Z as you'd say in the UK, they don't actually know what it's like to be on a desktop. So I think optimizing for where your customers are is an incredibly important thing. And so often as a brand, you want your website, your British homepage should be perfect and it's pixel perfect, but maybe it doesn't matter because 71% of your best customers are coming through their mobile device. So to me, it's about being really smart about specifically focusing on the customer journeys that matter the most to you. And so often it's easy to fall into this trap in retail of, what's the cool, sexy tech? Is it chatbots? Is it AI? Is it smoke machines and lasers? Whatever is in the news. But when you do that, you don't really solve the customer needs, and you can start to try to do too many things at once. And so what we like to say is, focus on that specific customer journey that is for your best customer, that you weight by value and volume, and make sure that that's what you get perfect. Get that perfect and then go from there. And to me, that's the biggest opportunity as a retailer, is figuring out what is that customer journey that you believe in, that is your brand. Focus on that, crush it, and then think about all the fun stuff.